So many, but thunder, thunder, Thundercats! Oh! Never heard of it. You wish you were Lion-O.
Bugs Bunny Roadrunner.
Roadrunner.
Oh my gosh!
Batman the Animated Series.
I remember.
Transformers.
You know what? I remember watching Roadrunner. I remember watching. What?
I do. I have the whole series. Yes.
You know what? I remember watching Roadrunner when I was really little and thinking, how does the people that own that Acme company stay in business? Because everything they make doesn't work.
That's a good point.
I know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay, so we have a question out there in the audience.
Hi.
Hi.
This question is for Vic. Are you as close with the cast of Full Metal Panic as you are with Full Metal Alchemist?
Me? Are you asking me? No. Full Metal Panic was quite a while ago, quite honestly. And at the time that we did it, we had a lot of fun. I mean, Chris Patton and Monica and the other people that were in that show. You know, we were friends. We've known each other for a long time and done a lot of shows together. But I must be honest and say that Full Metal Panic didn't grab me emotionally like Full Metal Alchemist did. And when you make something like that with people, you feel a connection to them. You know, I mean, we had already started recording when I met Aaron. I met him, how old were you? 11 or 12 years old, with his mom and his little brother at a convention in Dallas. And we had already started recording, and I ran up to him, somebody from Funimation said, you know who that little kid is right there? That's Aaron, that's the kid that's playing your brother. And I'm like, no! Brother! And I went running up, and his mom, thought I was the pervert, Who's this old guy charging my son? But I mean, you feel a connection with people that you make stuff with. I mean, Wendy and I didn't meet until after the show was over. But you immediately, you hear them in your headphones when you're recording, and you feel like you know them. And so when you actually do meet, especially if you created something really special, you feel a real connection to them.
Have you guys had any real-life connections to your Full Metal characters?
Real life connections? I'm happy to say no. My life has been pretty sweet compared to Scar's. Sure, I've had my ups and downs, but these are both my arms. I'm in good shape. So no.
Well, I do like the food. Spoiler alert, I like to eat, folks. So I share that. He's pure id, so I do like to eat a little bit. And I also think lust is hot. Like wine. And that's about it for me.
I can get upset sometimes.
Al and I have fairly opposite personalities. He's very sentimental, kind of romanticized, whereas I'm kind of, Friedrich Nietzsche. I sometimes follow that mentality a bit more than I should.
They did a Looney Tunes episode of him.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I don't think they're catching any of this. But we do both love cats a lot, so.
Aaron, you have not changed, and I'm glad to see it. He's so smart. It's like, in the words of Nietzsche, let me quote one of my favorite philosophers, if I may. I played the Barber of Seville on my trumpet.
I spliced an atom.
That's how
That's how you know Aaron is really smart, because he mispronounces big words. He's read them. He hasn't heard them anywhere. He's read them. I did that all the time when I was a child.
He's a pioneer.
I had this was a real conversation between me and somebody much smarter than myself years ago, and they were like, what was Napoleon's first name? I'm like, Napoleon. I'm like, no. His name was Napoleon. So Aaron is infinitely smarter than me.
I tease because I love, clearly.
I think the thing that I share with Ling is that we're both Asian. And when, like, he always looks like he has his eyes shut, but he can see. I can do that. I can shut my eyes, and I still see all of you, but it looks like my eyes are shut. I see you. I totally can see everybody right now. 3, 4. I'm telling you, the epicanthic fold of the Asian eye. So my mama taught me.
I was wondering what about the show you enjoyed the most. Like for me, for instance, it was the darkness of it, the fact that 11-year-old boys had to deal with the death of their mom, that the alchemists had to deal with the fact that there were human weapons in the war. What was it about the show that you enjoyed the most?
Personally, I think, actually my mom was talking about this at her panel. I think my favorite thing about it is that it can combine those dark elements and then throw in something funny. Like, whenever Al is yelling at Ed for totally stealing your thing, Mom. Sorry. Whenever Al is yelling at Ed for they were about to die, and Al has lost an arm and a leg, and his other one's just kind of hanging on, and so he's yelling at Ed about it, and it's this really emotional moment, and you get all choked up. And then his arm falls off, his extra one, and he says, "Great! Now my arm fell off." It's cool. It's very deep.
I like that I'm in it. Let's be self-soothing. Yeah, I think the same thing is just the storyline. It's a great storyline, and it got a lot of people interested in anime that had never watched it before because of the kind of story that it was. And I think that's a beautiful thing, Tyr.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, that in addition to it being an amazing story, it is very much the gateway drug anime for a lot of people. Yeah, I did. And so I think it's so important. I mean, this room is full, and this convention is huge, and I think shows like that bring people in, and I think that's great for the industry. So that's the other reason I like it.
And if I may kind of, digress momentarily, because I was mentioning this earlier in a panel I was doing, but one of the things that I love about anime, and this is incidentally, epitomized in Fullmetal Alchemist, is the fact that you take, here in the USA, mainstream seems to be still uncomfortable with the idea of animation being anything but geared towards children. And by geared towards children, I mean kind of dumbed down, there's very little darkness, the drama is really kind of flat, and it's so fascinating. I mean, as Case and we were discussing being children and watching some of our first anime, and it's, striking us the way it did because it was so unique compared to the other fare we were watching at the time on television. And there's nothing wrong with shows geared towards children at all. There's many, many fine examples of that. But the idea that it's something I always tell people that, because I've heard people say they just don't like anime. And I thought, well, you're not looking hard enough. Because anime is not a genre, it's a medium. It encompasses so many different genres that there's something in it that you'll find to like if you haven't found it. Of course, I know I'm preaching to the choir, but it's so cool that a show like Fullmetal Alchemist deals with such mature themes and has such great drama to it, as well as these wonderfully lighthearted comedic moments, and it's so successful, it all hangs together really well. And the fact that it's animated, that's a pretty stunning thing in this culture, in the mainstream in America, and I love that about that show. And as Casey was saying, it's a gateway anime into this wonderful world that we all know and love. I'm stealing it too, sorry. But yeah, so that in a nutshell is my